Hey guys, Allie Marie here with My Catholic Perspective. My 2.5-year-old daughter Evelyn loves to look through the photos on my phone. I shared on the community tab here this week and over on Instagram at Allie Marie here that she had found the photo of the scar on the back of my head from my first craniotomy. It's pretty dramatic. It has 23 staples. And she basically, I explained to her that was on the back of my head, that it's healed now, all that's left is scarring, and she wanted to feel the back of my head and instantly took her hand and touched the back of her head and said, "Me." She does this a lot, right? Like at the playground, somebody will get an owie, they'll skin their knee, and she will instantly point to her knee and say, "Boo boo, boo boo." And it seems as though she has this incredible depth of empathy at such a young age, just natural to her personality, that when somebody else is experiencing something, she wants it as well. I see it even on herself. If she needs a Band-Aid on her left elbow, she wants it on her right elbow. She's my oldest child, 2.5. I have a 10-month-old as well, but she, So my baseline, isn't maybe amazing. I don't know. Maybe all children act this way. But my experience with her has been so enlightening in how that empathy can come forward. Now, as adults, we can tend to get caught up in our own personal experiences, which is okay to a degree. We can only comprehend that which we ourselves have been through. Some people are better at it than others in relating to people, such as my daughter. Empathy seems to be a very natural state of being for her. For me, I really struggle to relate with somebody unless I've been through what they're stating that they are experiencing. However, I'm learning so much in how to meet people where they are, how to relate with them, even if I haven't been through exactly what they've been through. Back when I did have my first brain surgery, my oldest older brother actually passed away 2 days after the surgery. And I remember when I was going through that, I had this intense feeling. It might have been the painkillers, I don't know, but I had this intense feeling that anyone suffering can't be compared. Somebody's dog may have died and they could be more distraught about that than I was about my brother's death. That's not to say that I didn't care at all, but it's to say people's sufferings, they can't be compared. Somebody could, have a panic attack over a dirty sink, and somebody else could have a panic attack, over something like a stage 4 cancer diagnosis. And that doesn't mean that the panic attack about the dirty dishes is irrelevant or that it is an overreaction. It doesn't mean any of that, because a lot of times what somebody can be going through can actually be referred pain. In the body, in the anatomical kinesthetic world, there's actually a term for that, and it's called tensegrity. So we have muscles that attach at 2 points, and it might be, we'll take the elbow, right? You have your tricep here. It attaches down here at the elbow, and then it also attaches up at the shoulder. It could be the issue could be up here in your shoulder, and you could be feeling pain in your elbow. It's called tensegrity because similar to how if I pull on my shirt up here, you can see it move down to my elbow. So the issue is up here, but it's causing tension down here. The same type of thing can happen in our spirit, the tensegrity of the spirit. Somebody's dog passing away could send them into a week-long, a month-long, a year-long depression. But it could actually be referred pain from their mom dying last year. It could be referred pain from something that happened in their childhood. It could be referred pain from anything. We don't have to understand it. We don't have to have felt that intense pain from a dog of ours passing away to understand that they are currently suffering in the state that they are in. Philippians 2 verse 1 actually talks to us about Christ's humility and imitating that as followers of Christ. So I want to share a few verses here. And he writes, "So if there is any encouragement in Christ, any incentive of love, any participation in the Spirit, any affection and sympathy, Complete my joy by being of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and of one mind. Do nothing from selfishness or conceit, but in humility count others better than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. Have this mind among yourselves, which was in Christ Jesus, who through he was in the form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself, taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of men. And that goes on talking about how he became obedient even to death on a cross. And so we have these mysteries, right? Like of the rosary, we have we have Christ, who died on the cross, who was beaten, scourged, put crown of thorns on his head, like all these things. And we meditate on these mysteries, and we try to find pieces in our own lives that we can join to the cross, that we can take our suffering and relate it to Christ, to transpire it to Christ. Christ himself is trying to relate with us. He's saying, your suffering is greater than what I am about to endure. Otherwise, he wouldn't have endured it. If he didn't see the purpose of his suffering, he would not have died on that cross. He wouldn't have gone through with it because it wouldn't have surmounted the suffering that we experience. So we take that and we try to relate to him. We try to say, oh, we take fruits from these mysteries. The scourging of the pillar, we look for that purity. We look for the patience and perseverance that we need to carry our cross. And we find that through Christ's suffering. And here in Philippians 2, verses 1 through 11, it talks about don't look to your own interests, look to others. Think of others as better than yourselves. Think of other sufferings as worse than your own. If they're expressing to you that they are depressed about anything, their coffee's gone, I don't know, they can't afford something, they can't they can't keep on top of their house, they don't know what's going on with their health, they don't know what's going on with their child, they lost a child, they lost their parent, it doesn't matter what it is, they're overwhelmed with their children, can't get dinner on the table, can't find a new job, hate their job, love their job, hate their coworkers, whatever it is, it's still relatable to you. You can still find a way to relate. And this is something that I've learned the hard way. I have had, a couple years back when I had first had my daughter, so about 2 years ago, I was having a conversation with a friend. My transition to motherhood was not difficult. I did not have postpartum depression. I did not have the baby blues. I did not experience any of those things. And I had a friend talking to me about how she was feeling very overwhelmed with her children and that she cried pretty much every day. She had 2 children, has 2 children. And so she was crying every day. And she directly asked me, do you experience this? And I just looked at her and I said, I can't say that I do. And she very rightly so got upset at me. And she said, well, I think that we can all relate with each other and we can all, go through this. And I was just kind of taken aback at the time because it was like, well, I can't say that I experienced that. And in retrospect, in where I am now and what I'm learning on this journey, I really could have said, I don't experience that specifically about Evelyn, but I can tell you that there was a time, we were moving from Chelsea and I had to pack everything up and my husband came home, Alec came home, and he had already started his new job out of town. So he'd already moved. He came home for the weekend and he started packing everything. Now, I was the one living there. I was the one who was trying to get everything packed, and I just wasn't going fast enough to his liking, but everything was organized. I knew where everything was. He came in that weekend. I went to work. He, moved a bunch of stuff around, and I just couldn't even take it. I, went into full panic attack mode because it was I don't know where anything is. I don't know, totally lost control of my environment, and I know what it feels like to feel like I have absolutely no control. And my friend that I was talking with at the time, I can almost guarantee she would be like, see, yeah, you get it. You get it. And that's what we're called to do. We're called to put other suffering like before ourselves. We're called to find a way to relate with them. If it's not natural to our, like for me, it is not natural for me to just like want to take somebody's pain and like bring it upon myself. I remember feeling that way with my mom growing up. She would get migraines and had all kinds of issues growing up. And like, I remember I would give her a back rub and be like, God, just give me this pain. Like, I just want her to feel better. Like I have it in me. It's probably very similar to what Evelyn feels, but I think Evelyn feels it on a very deeper level than I naturally do. But finding that way to relate with others, even if we haven't been through their exact situation, even if exactly what they're describing isn't something that we can directly relate with, we can still find a way to meet them where they are, because that's what Christ does. That's what Christ is about. Christ is about meeting us where we are and drawing us into him, allowing us to feel heard, allowing us to be seen, allowing us to feel accepted, that what we're going through can be redeemed, that what we're going through isn't the end all be all, that what we're going through that what we're suffering through isn't the epitome of what life is about. We have each other. We're built for relationship. Like that's what he became human. He was born in the likeness of men. And there's a huge theological implication about that is gone into by several theologians, by several great saints. And this whole idea that he is human now, fully human, fully God. That's a big deal. Because it makes him relatable. Even if he hasn't had the first world experience of losing power, even if he hasn't had first world experiences of things that, can't access clean water from his faucet. And that's like a huge deal in America, right? Like Flint, Michigan is a big problem right now. People are suffering over there because they can't access clean water from their faucet. But back then, first world problem, right? But that doesn't mean that we can't relate that to Christ, or that Christ wouldn't be able to relate to us, or that, that we can't find a redemptive peace, or that we can't find a relational peace in understanding that suffering, in understanding that hardship. And so that's just what I want to encourage for you today, to allow yourself to learn, allow yourself to grow. I know that I am through all of this, through my daughter, through my own personal experiences, and it is so hard in the way that I'm trained as a massage therapist, massage and craniosacral therapist. Like I'm taught to only talk about my personal experiences. I can only talk about, oh, well, when I broke my ankle, this is what worked for me. I can give general guidelines for care after a session. I can give general guidelines, but I can't diagnose. I can't speak to something that I haven't personally been through, because that, what's the term? It goes beyond the limits of my certification, right? And so that's just kind of what I wanted to share with you guys today, though, because Evelyn has been just so sweet. And I see it more and more as she grows, as she gets older. She is just the most empathetic little girl, and she must get it from her dad. My husband, he's also, I wouldn't call my husband empathetic, but he is more sensitive to other people's emotions, I would say. But I don't think that he feels them also. I don't think that he wants to take them. He just kind of understands them better and thinks more about how someone else might feel about a situation. And so Evelyn kind of takes that piece, that step further, and actually turns it into empathy and turns it into that sympathy and that affection that Philippians talks about here in chapter 2. So I would highly recommend taking that chapter, taking that first piece there to prayer, to meditation, and just see what the Lord does with that in your heart to be able to relate with others with where they are, even if you haven't personally been through what they've been through or what they're going through, just that you're able to meet them there, because that's how we become of one mind. They have this, the same mind. The study Bible here is an appeal to share a common outlook on Christian living and a common vision for Christian unity. This ideal can become real only if humility and service take the place of pride and selfishness among them. And that's of the Catechism, paragraph 2842. And, so you're talking about service taking the place of pride. And that's paramount here, right? Like, you're talking about, I don't understand your suffering, but it is still so fully valid. It is so fully everything. I may not understand it, but gosh, I'm here for you. I'm so sorry you're going through this. And is there anything I can do to help? How can I be of service to you in this hard time, even though I may not fully understand? I pray that God is able to grant you the resources that you need to draw closer to Him and in turn to those around you. And I pray that you are able to make it a great day. I will talk to you again soon.